recording in the Canje dining room in fucking, where the fuck am I? Austin, Texas. And I'm chilling right now with Chef Tavel Bristol and Kevin Fink. And I'm doing this intro before they sit down, so that's why I'm being quiet. Kind of weird. But I just wanted to get the sound layout to this place and make sure that you guys understand that we are in a restaurant. They are prepping, so don't feel like you're being like we're outside, because we're not outside. All right, I'm gonna stop doing that. All right, so here we go. They're coming now. All right, man.
All right.
I think Chef's getting a tea or something.
Yeah.
All right, word up. It's all good.
All right, so we waiting on Kev too, yeah?
Nah, we could just start. It don't matter. Yeah. So we'll just talk about your side of how you guys met, and then I'll ask him and see the differences. Cool. Let's see.
Tell me a little bit about you and what you're about.
You know, a lot of culinary school in me because I went to Votech school, and then I got a job in Jamestown, Rhode Island. I used to go to Johnson Wales University for culinary, and worked in Jamestown and then Newport for a little while. And then I went to the restaurant at Meadowood in Napa, and I stayed there for like 6 years. And then I took over as chef of the Charter Oak in same town, St. Helena, California. And then I was done with that in January. I have some buddies of mine who run a company called Truffle Shuffle out of Oakland, and they basically do virtual cooking classes, but they send you the kit, so you have everything. Like, it's a great birthday gift. I'm also an advocate for them, so they just want Shark Tank. So they got Q Harris and Terry, who just wrote a book on NFTs, which is dope, and Mark Cuban. So it's good shit. So through them, their largest investor before Mark Cuban, before all that, named Mitch Rouse. He got rich off taxis back in the 80s and 90s. And get this, Uber took over the market of taxis. So what he did was he just bought the software that Uber needed to do business. So badass businessman, and did his thing. And he invested in this company because Jason answered a Craigslist ad probably like 4 years ago to go work at this ranch in Wyoming, right?
Yeah.
Middle of nowhere, 1 hour outside of Cody. So like dirt road. Yeah. I just cooked there this past summer. Wow. So I got my job through them over there. And then I basically had my car up there because the boss was like, yo, like, you got to drive up here. So I'm like, all right. So I had my car in Wyoming, and then I had two choices: come back to California and like get a job, or do this podcast cross country. And I've already, I had 30 episodes before I went to Wyoming, so I understood that I wasn't going to have any guests for a while. And what better way than to boots on the ground document stories that sometimes don't get written. Because let's face it, how many chefs write books versus chefs that don't write books? Right. It's like that aspect. And so I just did a lot of Nashville, and then you get a little bit of, for example, insight into Sean Brock and what their team went through while he was having his thing that he goes through in the chef's table thing. You know what I mean? That's just one aspect of many things that people, reach out and they say, man, I worked with that guy when he was at this restaurant. I can't believe what he's doing now. So I think it's a brotherhood. And I think too many times we hate on each other, and it's time to, cut the shit and support each other. And I'm telling these stories, and I want to make success out of this podcast. I want to eventually open my own restaurant without having to ask for money and do things my way and live the life I want to live. Got it.
Got it. And what is that?
The life I want to live is I want to give back to Puerto Rico. If you look at Puerto Rico, that's where I was born. It's a third world country basically right now because of the hurricanes that passed through, right? So it's my job to educate my people as to what is good eating and what isn't. Because right now, if you look at Puerto Rico, there's like about 350 Burger Kings. And they're owned by like two people.
Oh, dude,
you know what I mean?
I've been there.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
Yeah, so my people are just eating this food blindly because it's cheap.
Popeyes, all of that shit.
And and it's like a mecca for fast food, and they're being led down this rabbit hole of diabetes, just laundry list of health problems. You know what I mean? So it's on us to educate the next generation so the farms start coming back and farming becomes a way of living in Puerto Rico again that is profitable and there's longevity in it. Because right now, I had a Puerto Rican chef on here, and he was like, all of the fish from the island does not get used in Puerto Rico. It goes to the States first and then sent back frozen. So it's like, why the fuck is that happening? Well, the laws in place make it hard for the local fishermen to get fish and sell it in Puerto Rico, you know? So everything's rigged against us. And it's time to have somebody that goes down there and fucking takes care of it, you know? Because if not me, then who?
Right.
You know what I mean? That's how I feel. It's just like, you see all these rappers, Bad Bunny, blah, 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 all money down in Puerto Rico, but what are you doing to fucking help us? You know, other than exploit the land and take your you know, your music videos and shit like that.
Right.
But who's doing right? And I'm not saying they haven't at some point, but I don't think that anybody has come in there with a grand idea of what to do and the wherewithal to manage all of that and fucking make it happen on the island. I'm not a fucking engineer. I'm a chef. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day. But I'm willing to do what it takes to put the people in place that need to do the things that need to happen.
Got it.
And I'm not saying that this is going to happen in the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, but I think if I start now, then I can do something.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get fuck you money from this podcast. I'm trying to get money to the point where I'm like, all right, Puerto Rico, here's fucking 500 million real quick. Like, let's go. Let's get some passionate people out of college. Let's give them a job in the future, and let's make them, you know, generationally wealthy. Let's make them be able to be the ones that make the decisions for us, who are the restaurant people, who don't fucking have time to be, you know, out there, like, fighting the fight, you know? We're about creating experiences. And it's like, everyone stay in their lane, do what you're passionate about, and I feel like we can, you know.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
Yeah, man.
My one push to that would be, I think that getting caught up in the money thing is, you know, going to take it a lot longer. What the simple thing is, like, the ideas that you have are what are contagious and what have value to that. And people with money are always looking for that, too.
Yeah.
And that passion. And so, you know, I think there are a lot of people that want to help Puerto Rico, and almost every person that I meet from Puerto Rico has a really similar desire. They may not have the same follow-through or conviction to it, but they at least echo that sentiment. So there is a movement that is gaining energy and weight and
100%.
abundance to that. And I think that, you know, there are a lot of people that also are trying to help in different ways. They may be helping in a lot of different things, but having a voice that carries above may make what you're doing much more widespread and much faster than gaining wealth through this and then turning back around.
Got you. Understood.
That's what I mean.
No. Yeah. It's all good. I feel like the money is not... I don't make money from this.
Right,
I'm
for sure.
hemorrhaging money from this. You know what I mean? So for me, the only way I feel like in these days with the way the governments are set up and the way everything's set up is like, you think about all these guys from, like, look at Rick Ross, come from nothing, make money. Now he's got his own estate, his own empire, where he gives money back to his family. But he did that through making massive amounts of money quickly.
Right.
And the way that people monetize on YouTube now, like, I feel like I would be a fool not to take advantage of those things. And just, you know, try it. Like, fuck it. I've been cooking for 15 years, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but the money is not the main goal for me as well. Like, I do this for free. Like, this is, like, I don't make any money from this, you know?
Yeah, but money gives you access.
Exactly. And so I feel like I'm passionate enough. Exactly. So, and that's the only way these politicians move. Because if you've seen the political shifts in Puerto Rico, it's, man, it's just like they put money down there, and then what do the government do? They take it.
So my push on this is you're watching that shift as well, and in all of these areas where now corporations and people have sometimes more money than governments, and governments need that from them.
Got you.
And so that's moving things, right? Like, you know, Elon, any of these guys, they want to say something. They want to, hey, this is what, you know, perfect example. He said, okay, prove that this is going to solve world hunger, and I've got your 6 billion.
Yeah.
You know, like no government can move that fast. And so I do think in the next 15 or 20 years, because of how lethargic governments are and how fed up we are on a lot of these sort of things, we'll be able to move things faster from individuals, just like you said, because you're right. They ain't coming. And they cannot pivot that fast. It's like going into a big corporation like Microsoft and hey, this is a great idea. It's just going to take a long time to get there.
Understood, yeah. And I think that this is my life's work.
Yeah.
So that's why the goal is the podcast right now.
No, I love it.
You know, and in 10 years, the goal is to open a rrestaurant and get my fucking Michelin stars and like fucking, you know what I mean? Like, just that shit that like made you a wild cook and want to be working 16 hours a day. Like, there's a reason why we did that, and I feel like I would waste it if I didn't fully embrace just this aspect of my life.
Right.
You know, but at the end of the day, I'm first a chef, and like, you know, I'm nowhere, you know, I'm not an audio engineer or whatever the fuck it is. Like, I cook food for people. That's what I do. So, but where is that right now? Like, we're in COVID, we're in takeout. Like, I refuse to do takeout, not because my ego is like, I don't want to do takeout. It's a fucking waste, bro. How many fucking plastic containers can I ship out this door?
Yeah.
And just like, you know, and then like people are like, you put one breast of chicken, say one portion of chicken in one, and then you put 2 orders in one, and they're like, I didn't get my other chicken. And you're like, okay, so I really need to put 2 breasts of chicken apart in 2 separate containers for these people not to like have a fucking meltdown. You know, and that's one small example of what we went through during COVID. And I'm just like, I understand that every business has to do their due to fucking stay afloat, and I'm not knocking that at all, but at the end of the day, I don't have a business.
Right.
And I'm not about to go like right into a business that is then has to go into another, you know, to-go model, and then I feel like, you know, I would just have to close the restaurant at that point, because I don't want to do that, man.
Yeah.
And, you know, you got all these green restaurants out there. Like, I want to work there. I want to, you know, go stage at Hamas and all these places in London that are doing, like, you know, everything gets used, nothing gets wasted. Like, that's the new wave. And I'm almost, like, upset with myself that I didn't take that route before. It's always been the glory and the, like, 3 Michelin stars and everything is finesse. But at the end of the day, I don't think it would give me the mentality I have now in order to think the way that I do. So, you know, you're kind of torn. It's just like when you get yelled at by your chef. He loves you, but that's kind of weird. Like, why you roasting me like this? You know what I mean? Why are you talking to me like this? But at the end of the day, sometimes it's necessary to get the job done, you know, if you want to be the best.
Agreed.
Know? But at what cost do we want to be the best? You know, the cost of the world? Like, I don't know. Like, you know. But damn, we got off to a crazy start right there. We just talked about you, and we just got off into the fucking...
You gotta ask the right questions.
Yeah. I hear you. That was cool, man, because to this day, like, I haven't had, like, back-to-back, like, I think this, I think that. It's always been, like, you know, let's get to know you as a chef, you know. And there's some debate sometimes, but it hasn't been like that, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
like,
I think the way that we operate always is that, you know, we want to create collaboration, and that creates the best things. And to do that, you have to sit across the table from your person and talk with them, and understand them, and listen to them, and banter them, and push each other. And I think that when you do those things, you get more organic behavior, you get better food, you get better service, you get better hospitality, you get better business. Yeah.
I think when you say that, it encapsulates everything that I want from this podcast. You know, like, we could solve problems by just sitting down and talking about it versus getting, you know, texting doesn't mean shit. Like, we grew up in a world where texting didn't mean shit. You know?
Press it 3 times.
Yeah, like I remember people used to be like, don't text me, call me. When's the last time you heard that? You know, you don't. Everybody's like, yo, text me. No one wants to call anymore. So, like, we got to increase the communication in that way, because there's too much of that, you know. And I'm guilty of it myself. Everyone is. And, like, to promote yourself, you got to be on social media.
It's a lot.
You know what it is. But anyway, let's get into you guys. Yeah. What's up? So let's start with Chef Tavel first. Chef, where were you born?
So I was born in Georgetown, Guyana, South America.
Okay.
And there's an area, Guyana, in Georgetown it's separated north, south, east, west. I was born in south, in the back of south, which is last entrance. So after my neighborhood, it was Canefield and Dumpster and all of that. I grew up there until probably the age of 12, and then I moved to the west side of Georgetown.